What's happening lately? Oh, God.
Books, papers, chemical equipment, violins.
My brother, Mycroft, is there.
You chose Mycroft as your confidant before me.
But I had to confide in someone in order to obtain the money that I need.
I could have sent you money. I could have sold my practice.
I wouldn't have dreamed of such a thing.
It isn't doing very well.
Keep the guard close.
Where have you come from?
I returned this morning from the south of France, drawn by the news of this remarkable murder of the Honourable Ronald Adair. And at 2 o'clock this afternoon I found myself in my own chair, only wishing I could see my old friend sitting in the other chair, which we so often adore.
What did our housekeeper say when you walked through the door?
I'm afraid I threw our dear Mrs. Hudson into a fit of hysterics. Are you not pleased to see me?
Of course I'm pleased to see you. I'm overjoyed.
Everything I did was for the best. There was reason behind it. Now, many times during the past 3 years I have taken up my pen to write to you. But always I feared that an affectionate regard to me might tempt you to some indiscretion which would betray my secret. But
You value our friendship as little as that. Whatever your reason, I could have accommodated it. Just a word, a simple note.
my pen
Is any secret so precious that a man can allow his closest friend to believe him to be dead for 3 whole years? Consider the reverse. If I had disappeared without a word to you, would you not take it as a trifle unfeeling of me?
I have considered it uncharacteristic. I have examined the data, drawn my conclusions.
Coldly, without emotion.
I've offended you deeply. If I was to tell you what happened, could you find it in your soul to forgive me?
I should like to hear what happened at Reichenbach.
Oh, very well then, you shall. About that chasm. I have no serious difficulty in getting out of it, Watson, for the very simple reason that I never was in it.
You never were in it.
The note that I wrote to you was absolutely genuine. But you see, I realized that my life had reached its crisis long before I saw the sinister figure of the late Professor Moriarty on the narrow path which led to safety. He drew no weapon, but rushed at me, flung his long arms around me. He knew that his own game was on. He was only anxious to revenge himself upon me. We tottered together on the brink of the fall. I have, however, some knowledge of Baritsu, or the Japanese system of wrestling, which more than once has been very useful. I watched him fall a long way. He struck a rock, bounced off, vanished.
But the tracks! I saw them with my own eyes. Two went down the path, and none returned.
That was the truth, but you see, the moment the professor disappeared, I realized what an extraordinary lucky chance fate had placed in my way. I knew the professor was not the only person who had sworn my death. There was Colonel Moran, and at least two others. Sooner or later, one of them would get me. On the other hand, if I could convince the whole world that I too was dead. Now, in your picturesque account of the matter, which I read some months later with the greatest interest, you assert that the rocky place behind me was sheer. However, certain footholds did present themselves, and there was some indication of a ledge. I mean, if I had returned along the wet path, I should have left evidence of my survival.
You could have reversed your boots. As you have done on similar occasions.
I decided to risk the climb. It was not a pleasant business, Watson. I am not a fanciful person, but I give you my word, I seem to hear the professor's voice screaming at me out of the abyss. Many times I thought I was gone. Tufts of grass came away in my hand, my feet slipped off a wet rock. Finally, I did reach that ledge, which was covered in the most beautiful soft green moss, where I could stretch out in the most perfect comfort. And I was there, my dear Watson, when you and your following were investigating in the most sympathetic and inefficient manner the circumstances of my death. When you all formed your inevitable and totally erroneous conclusions, you all departed for the hotel. And I was left alone.
You were left alone.
Suddenly a huge rock boomed past me. And looking up, I saw a man's head against the darkening sky. And then another rock landed not a foot away from my head on the ledge. Of course, the meaning was obvious. The professor had not been alone. I had no time to think of the danger. I slithered down from the ledge. I took to my heels. I did 10 miles in the darkness over the mountains. And a week later, I found myself in Florence with the certainty that no one in the world knew what had become of me. Yes.
Sometime after my story of your death was published, I received a letter of my surgeon. It stated simply that Professor Moriarty was alive, that he had never met you at the falls, was not in Switzerland at the time, and that my account, therefore, was a tissue of lie.
Will you keep this letter?
Oh, I have it somewhere in my possession.
May I read it?
Of course, if I can lay my hands on it.
I think it is safe to assume that it was from a confederate. But why should they inform you?
Not to discredit you.
But if I'm dead?
Your memory, then, the legend of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, that is interesting. But, my dear Watson, how did you respond to this amazing letter?
I put myself in your shoes. I placed an advertisement in the Times, the gist of which was that you would be at a certain place at a certain hour and would welcome some proof. Perhaps the professor himself.
Excellent, my brave Watson. How did you sign it?
Oh, some name or other I forget, but the inference was clear.
Where was the rendezvous to be kept? Because I'm now convinced it was a member of Moriarty's gang.
Why, here in these rooms. Where else?
Here, how clever of you, really.
You have not asked the question I would have expected. It would be logical to assume that these rooms had been let to someone else.
Watson, you have been a very diligent student, and you have graduated with honors. Would you explain to me?
Some weeks before, I found I had mismade some medical notes. And I concluded that they must be here, among your papers. I called on Mrs. Hudson and learned that your brother Mycroft had instructed her to keep these rooms just as they were, and had continued to pay the rent. It was my first intimation that you were still alive.
So, at the appointed hour you arrived. You sat in your old chair, but of course nobody came.
I sat for 6 hours. How did you know nobody came? Why should they not come?
But why should they? I mean, the letter was merely to put an idea into your head, and I had somehow lied to you and tricked you at writing.
Well, that was their scheme. It was a notable failure.
So you merely slept with your pistols under your pillow for the next few months, and then dismissed the whole fanciful notion from your head.
No. I went to see Mycroft, who received me with a certain stiff cordiality at the Diogenes Club.
Mycroft?
In the strangers' room, very soothing atmosphere. If a little misanthropic. I put it to him bluntly. I said I thought you were alive and that he knew of your whereabouts.
What did he say to that?
He twitched.
He was sworn to secrecy!
Oh, he was as good as his word on that account. He explained that he had preserved Baker Street as a memorial to you. On a whim. But your training me in the observation of human behavior, Holmes, had not been in vain. Didn't you once tell me that the human features are faithful servants to their emotions? It was not your brother's face which showed no emotion whatsoever, but the persistent tapping of the fingers of his left hand which drew my attention.
He's right-handed.
He had a large brandy and soda in his right hand. That never wavered. After a period of some 11 minutes, he pleaded urgent business and I left. I looked back through the window. He hadn't shifted an inch.
You know what, man? I really am dumbfounded. You know, I'm immensely proud of
Thank you, old man, but my visit had not answered the burning question. I knew you were alive, but in what condition and where? I did wonder if you traveled east.
Yes, Your Honor. You're right. I went to Tibet. I amused myself by visiting Lhasa. And I spent some days with the Holy Lama.
Was that instructive?
It was illuminating. You may have read of the explorations of a Norwegian called Sigerson, but I'm sure that it never occurred to you that you were receiving news of your friend.
Sigerson. Sigerson, that comes back to that. That was the name that I used in my advertisement. Where did you go off to Tibet?
Oh, I passed through Persia, and then I looked in at Mecca.
You looked in at Mecca?
And I made a short but interesting visit to the Caliphate of Khartoum, the results of which I have communicated to the Foreign Office of Watson. This knowledge of my existence, oh dear friend, how did you deal with it?
Well, after my visit to Mycroft, I felt certain that I would receive a letter from him. When I didn't, a month passed, a year, then two, I was forced to the conclusion that you had met with some misfortune in the East and had died there unnoticed and unmoored. When you came back as that bookseller, I fainted because, quite frankly, I'd given you up. Where did you go after Khartoum?
Well, I spent some months researching into the coal tar derivatives, which I conducted at a laboratory at Montpellier in the south of France. And it was there, Watson, that I heard of your sad bereavement.
But how did you hear about Mary?
My brother. He informed me he'd seen your advertisement in the Times. I'm so sorry, Watson. There's no reasoning with the fates. I mean, it might seem to be a solution. Your room, you know, is still here just as it was. Shall I alert Mrs. Hudson? Yes, yes, yes. There are certain people to whom one cannot lie. My friend is one of them. But there are certain truths which cannot be told easily. Sometimes one longs to be found out.
Oh!
Yes, yes, I'm here.
What do you know?
What?
I managed to sell my practice.
Oh, you said...
Yes, a young doctor called Werner has given me the remarkably little review, the highest price I dare ask.
You say Werner?
Werner.
Werner.
Werner, of course. Your grandmother, sister to Vernet, the French artist. Really?
No, it's a coincidence.
Oh, come along.
Shall we say that a distant relation? Well, it's done. No, there's no more to be said on the subject.
Impossible.
Anything in the newspaper?
Oh, there's news of a revolution in South America, possible war in Africa, impending collapse of government. Nothing to interest you.
What do the public, the great unobservant public, who can hardly tell a weaver by his tooth or a compositor by his left thumb, care about the finer shades of deduction and analysis? And when Anno Domini finally claims me, Watson, I shall take up philosophy and agriculture. And beekeeping.
Well, philosophy, I understand, after your sojourn in Tibet. Agriculture, I question.
Oh, no, a sponge, a tin box, a beginner's book on botany that are many instructive days to be spent.
And beekeeping?
No one learns much about human nature from the study of the bee, as one learns from the study of people.
What are you going to do with all this knowledge?
I shall store it, like honey. Observation and deduction, Watson, observation and deduction.
Well, surely the one, to some extent, implies the other.
Quickly, Watson, go to that window. Look at the lady down there under the lamp. Oh, she's just glanced up. Yes. Take your time, take your time. Oh, no, she's moving away. What did you gather from her appearance? Describe it.
Oh, dear. Well, she had a broad-brimmed, slate-coloured straw hat with a feather, a brickish red feather. She had a black jacket, a brown dress, with a little purple plush at the sleeves and neck. Ah, now, yes. She had greyish gloves, which were worn through at the right forefinger.
And her boots?
Her boots? No, I didn't observe the boots. Oh, she had a small pair of round gold hanging earrings. And she had the general air of being fairly well-to-do in a vulgar, comfortable, easygoing sort of way.
Well done.
Thank you.
No, really, you're coming along very well indeed.
Thank you, Holmes.
It is true that you have missed every point of importance. You have hit upon the method, and you have a quick eye for colour. What you failed to observe is that she was short-sighted. The dint of the past there on either side of the nose. She'd come out in odd boots, and she'd written a note, in haste, before leaving.
No, oh, come on.
You observed that her right glove was torn, but you failed to notice that both glove and forefinger were stained with violet ink. This is amusing. But really, you know, it's so elementary.
Life is infinitely stranger than anything that the mind of man could invent. Don't you think, Holmes?
You know, if we could fly out of this window, hand in hand, hover over this great city, gently remove the roofs, and peep in at the strange coincidences, the plannings, the cross purposes, the wonderful chain of events moving through generations and leading to the most outre results. It would make all fiction, with its conventionalities and foreseen conclusions, most stale and unprofitable. Sometimes I can catch the fragrance of her scent.
You all right, old man?
Yes, I'm bored, Watson, bored. All this talk, rooftops, windows, and women. London has become a singularly uninteresting city. Since the death of the late, lamented Professor Moriarty, do you recall Miss Elena Adler?
Of course. How could I forget her?
Sometimes I believe I can hear her enchanting voice.
She's a married woman, Holmes.
She was. She died. Alone in Biarritz. Mycroft saw a small announcement in the Times.
You still carry her photograph?
Somewhere. Amongst all the jumble of my papers, but where? What's that? I'm going to street arrest! All the ghosts of the past, all of them! So sorry, I have no wish to bring back memories of your great loss. I was selfishly exercising my own.
There's no doubt.
Please forgive me.
No, good.
Watson, did you know that Professor Moriarty has a brother who is a station master in the West Country?
No. It doesn't surprise me to hear that some trade was run in the family, so to speak.
Really?
Wasn't it Moriarty who drove the engine past us at Canterbury Station when we were endeavouring to escape the country?
Yes, it was.
No, of course. Colonel James Moriarty, who defended the memory of his brother in the press when the tragedy of Reichenbach was made.
Colonel James Moriarty.
Good heavens, it was those infamous letters which prompted me to publish what I believed at the time to be the truthful account.
Watson, who do you see in front of you?
Now, you, of course, my friend Sherlock Holmes.
Now?
That bookseller fellow.
Now?
I don't know, one of your idlers, the locals. Well, that's the foolish clergyman. I recognize him.
And now? It is evident that you don't know me.
On the contrary, I think it's fairly evident that I do.
It has been an intellectual treat to duel with you, Mr. Holmes. You think you can beat me? You will never, never beat me. And if you are clever enough to bring destruction upon me, rest assured that I shall do as much for you. afraid of the ocean overrun with them? Are there no natural enemies to limit the increase of these creatures? Oh, no, Watson, leave me.
I have no intention of leaving you. You are sick, and I must treat you.
Well, if I could have a doctor, at least I may have one in whom I have confidence.
You have none in me, huh?
In your friendship, yes. But facts are facts, Watson. I mean, you're only a general practitioner with limited experience and mediocre qualifications.
That is unworthy of you, Holmes, and shows me very clearly the state of your nerves.
So I demonstrate your ignorance. What do you know about the Tapanuli fever? What do you know about the Black Formosa corruption?
I have never heard of either.
There are no strange pathological disorders in these.
You may have no confidence in me, but during the past few days, I have brought Sir Jasper Meek, Penrose Fisher, and Dr. Ainstree, the foremost living authority on tropical diseases, all of them to your bedside.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have no wish to alarm you. I'm afraid I am beyond the medical pale.
A very good reason. That you have no diagnosable symptoms.
But I have devised my own remedy. It requires not your medical skills, which I'm sure are more than adequate, but your powers of deduction and logic. Will you assist me?
In any way I can.
Thank you so much. Well, you see, my illness comes from the brain. Not as cocaine, the answer I've tried. It is the brain that has the cure.
Just tell me what you want me to do.
Well, I wish to offer you the hypothesis that Professor Moriarty did not exist, that I invented him.
My dear!
You must challenge me at every point I made in your painted claret, the fresh tobacco, and the Persian slipper you gave for
But
this.
of course, if you
Thank you. Well, it
insist.
was the summer of 87, I think. Yes, 87. But the idea first came to me. It may have come from one of my black fins. It probably did, I forget. But its practicality is purely logical. I am an acknowledged expert in all matters criminal. Now, if I could invent a mastermind that could draw to it like a spider all the nefarious flies into its web, how much easier it would be to keep my finger on the pulse. I took my idea to my brother Mycroft of the Diogenes Club. He was entranced. He immediately offered his services without quibble.
Man,
Don't, please.
Moriarty is known to others. I have seen his biography in publication. His education is listed, his class.
Most of the information you received, Watson, came from my own lips, and naturally you were too trusting to cross-check. But there are facts known about his remarkable career which can be verified, for the very simple reason that I put them about myself. May I continue?
By all means.
I took the name of an old mathematics professor that I had known at university. A dear sweet man, as far removed in temperament from my creation as anyone could ever be.
Was he then the author of that book?
The Dynamics of an Asteroid, you then said.
I seem to remember you telling me that it touched such rarefied heights of pure mathematics that no member of the scientific press could possibly
For the
criticize
very
it.
simple reason that no one had ever read it. It was a poor man's life's work. It remains totally obscure and impenetrable.
Where did you base this operation?
Here! Here! In Baker Street. What? Don't you remember those odd occasions when I asked you to leave the room for an hour or
With
so?
Moriarty here, all the world knows Sherlock Holmes lives here.
It was a small conceit. But Moriarty occasionally played the cuckoo when Holmes was there. It may surprise you to know that it was only necessary for me to appear in public with Moriarty twice. Once in the grill room of the Savoy Hotel, and once in the waiting room of Crew Station, I think.
Oh, no. We saw him together on the station platform at Canton.
That was my brother Mycroft.
Moriarty's brother, the colonel who wrote Defending Him in the
Mycroft again on a whim.
Reichenbach.
Don't you remember that you received a letter to the effect that the professor never was in
Oh,
Switzerland?
Mycroft wrote that.
That was almost certainly written by Colonel Moran, his
You
companion.
told me that Moriarty supplied Colonel Moran liberally with money. Now, surely, that cannot have been your own money,
No,
though.
of course not. I invented that for my own amusement.
If you invented it for your own amusement, It was at my expense. I really don't think I can believe anything you ever say again.
Well, with any care.
I fail to see where it is leading.
You will! I beg of you to continue!
Moriarty was seen at the Hotel of Mine.
My third appearance, a brief one, merely for local colour.
And Colonel Moran, arriving at the falls. If you were alone, what was he doing
That
there?
ironically was fact. I intimated Moran that I was to meet Sherlock Holmes for the final resolution, thinking that his master had been killed. Moran tried to avenge
The air gun. The air gun! With which Colonel Moran shot Ronald Adair. Now, you told Inspector Lestrade that Moriarty had ordered it from the German mechanic on Earth. Now, was it you? Was it you who commissioned that?
I've done things in many areas of my life which at the time I believed to be for the greater good, but which has taken some unfortunate victim along the way. Watson, you must take me as you find me.
I find that an abhorrent answer, Holmes. I cannot accept it.
You wish me to enumerate the lives, say...
No! I cannot accept it!
So be it.
Anyway,
So be it.
there's only one question which concerns me before we abandon this fool's journey.
Help me.
If you did indeed create this monster, what prompted you to destroy him?
Ah! I could not live with him! It was either him or me! And I had considered both solutions. When the moment came, I decided to give myself one final chance.
Tibet.
Because I thought I might find something there.
And what did you find?
Intolerable loneliness. No solution. Nothing to exercise my mind beyond the arid abstractions of philosophy. You see, they are a sweet and gentle people, Watson, seldom vindictive and therefore no crimes, no mysteries to solve. Once I thought I had stumbled upon one, the brutal and motiveless dismembering of a goat. I applied my usual methods, so my Watson was a bright-eyed child of 12, the son of one of the village elders. In the space of a single afternoon, he presented me with 7 clues, all of which I missed. But he had the culprit gibbering his confession by nightfall. It was sad to me. No, I was out of my element. I missed the thronging streets of London. And your companionship.
Ah. I, too, was out of my element.
An elementary diagnosis which the Lama made. He said, "There's nothing for you here, Mr. Holmes. Return to Watson," said the Holy Lama. And then he added, "But there is a price you must pay. The man you killed has not left you. Your friend and your enemy are one."
Now I am Moriarty. What is that?
But his meaning was clear. You cannot have Watson without Moriarty, you cannot have Moriarty without Watson, and without both of them there is no Holmes. The 3 of us are inextricably bound, you see.
But Moriarty is dead. You killed him.
Yes, I killed him, I killed him at Reichenbach, because he was so faithfully recovered.
That is the truth.
The absolute truth. You do believe me?
I have always believed you.
You see, it was the continuing presence of that malignant brain in mine which caused my collapse. And my unruly behavior, for which once again, Watson, I crave your forgiveness. No, my hypothesis was a quixotic act to rid myself of an oyster, my cold, precise mind, against any deviltry. And I really do believe that my hypothesis would have stood the test of pure reasoning had not you, also typically my friend, thrown morality into the works. There was no sidestepping that.
Now, seems to have served its purpose, it seems. Recover, release. As for your health, I can only pray that there will be no successor to Professor Moriarty.
You missed the point entirely. There must be a successor for my sanity. No, I'm only comforted that he is that many-headed hydra. As soon as one head is cut off, another grows in its place. It is essential, Watson, for our well-being that there should always be somewhere a Moriarty among us.
I doubt you'd find many decent citizens agreeing with you there. Can't we beat off the stories beneath the roofs of ordinary people? Peep in the strange coincidences, the planning, the cross purposes, the wonderful chain of events, leading to the most outre results.
Did you say that? I seem to hear my voice.
Your voice, my voice, they're all inextricably bound, aren't they?
Watson, you are developing a vein of talking humor against which I must learn to guard myself. Will you be committing to print these secrets that we've shared this evening? Verbatim.
Ah. I shall, as always, respect your wishes, and select, hone, transpose, and omit, and I hope fulfill the expectations of your adoring public.
Utterly grateful. Thank you. You are the one fixed point in a changing world.
Thank you, Holmes. Look at that,
Unless I'm mistaken, it's a client.